What?
Is it page 1 or page 2?
Page 1, 1.
You are majority. It's correct.
The minority should be changed to majority, I mean.
No, it's correct. Let me majority.
Oh, it's minority. This is minority.
This one.
Okay. Full members, if you look at number 4, motion, the following honorable members were present. Number 4 is Honorable Madi M.K. Sise, Serekunda West, Deputy Minority Leader. I think that's correct.
No, Honorable Speaker,
On the motion, number 4.
on the motion, I mean.
Okay. Number 4 is on the motion. Be resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned signed die by the Honorable Deputy Minority Leader. It should be Deputy Majority Leader. Huh? Noted. We now move to page 2. Okay. Honorable members, we now move to page 3. Honorable member for Woolly East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you go on the motions, the first motion, or all the motions, whether it was there or not, we always add report back to the plenary. So I propose that we capture that. It's referred to a committee.
Where exactly, Honorable? We
For
have
example,
motions. Motion without notice.
Yes. Order
Is it
60,
under number 1
68-2.
or number 2?
Number 1. Let's go to number 1 first.
Okay.
I'm proposing that whether it was in our original motion or not, but we always add there to report back to the plenary. And report back to the plenary should be the last phrase, in addition. Yes, and all the other.
With the leave of the Honorable Speaker,
Yeah.
Honorable Swaibu Ture, member for Woolly East, moved a motion for the committal of the Animal Health Bill 2020 to the Joint Committee on Agriculture and Health. You want us to add something and report back to plenary. I think we can add it there. We will have no objections, but all committees will have to report back to plenary. Yeah, we can add it and report back to plenary.
No. Honorable Speaker.
Does it indicate that, honorable member for Woolly East, that wherever it appears such, we add and report back to plenary, yeah? So, note it down.
Honorable Speaker, sorry.
Honorable member for Woolly
Yes,
East.
I just wanted to draw the attention of the member. The last phrase he is talking about is good, but remember, reporting back to plenary is also stipulated with a time frame. Do we also add that? There is also a time frame to report back to plenary, and there is a notice to that effect. So I don't know if you capture that phrase, should we also add the time frame before they report back to plenary? Just so that it is complete.
But the problem is we have not given it time. At the time we were debating and concluding, honorable member for Woolly East, did we allocate time?
What I'm saying is, he said, what is captured on the records of votes, I think is correct. He said we need to add and report back to plenary. Reporting back to plenary, there is also a time frame attached to that. I said, should we also add that so that the sentence is complete? Because there is also a notice to that effect that committees will work on the particular bill and report back to plenary within a particular time frame. That's what I'm saying.
What is that particular time frame?
16 weeks.
If that is part of the if that is part of the standing orders, then whether you indicate it or not, it means that order, that provision still stands. What are your opinions, honorable members? Let's have opinions on the issue. He wants us to add the time frame.
Honorable Speaker, I don't think there is any need because it's already in our standing orders. So as it is there, we all know that is there. But for reporting back is to emphasize that they come back to us, that we don't just give it to them.
Honorable Speaker.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable member for
Honorable Speaker,
yes.
Once a bill is committed to a committee or joint committee, automatically they must report back to plenary. That's obvious. Why do you have to put it there?
I don't know. We are moving one step forward, two steps backward. You know, it is obviously, that's an opinion I share also, that immediately we commit a bill to a committee, the committee will have to report back to Parliament. But I observed from what the Honorable Member for Woolly said, that's what usually happens in the previous minutes. And we want to have uniformity. I think that's why adding it also doesn't make a difference. You know, that's why I think he came up with it. The other thing is, do we now add the time frame or not?
Obviously, when you are taking the opinion of Honorable Member for Woolly, is then the opinion of Honorable Member for Woolly must be taken into consideration as well.
I mean, who was speaking, saying those comments? Opanyumi? Honorable Member for Opanyumi, you said something.
Speaker, I withdraw.
Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Palindi. Yes, looking at past experience, where bills have been stocked at committee level, I think it's important we put time frame on it.
Yeah, but if bills adding and report back to plenary, I think we have concluded on that. We have agreed that we leave that one. Our problem now is the time frame. Do we have to state and report back to plenary within?
That's my position,
Honorable
Speaker. That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying, exactly.
Time frame?
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, please. Honorable Member for Lower, is it nominated member?
Nominated member, thank you. Lower Salum.
Lower Badibu?
No, nominated member, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, I think it's honorable nominated member.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think we are complicating simple issues here. We either leave, the right-up as it is, but if at all we must continue to say that the committee have to report back to Parliament. We all know that whenever bills are committed to what? At committee level, they must come back to plenary. That is obvious. We equally know that once the committee finishes their findings, they must report back to plenary within what? 16 weeks. So we either leave it as it is, or we do the disclosures in full. And making those disclosures in full will require that we say they report back to plenary within 16 weeks. Thank you.
What is your suggestion?
If at all we are going to add the suggestion of Willie is, that is to say, the committee reports back to plenary, the time frame have to be included, which is 16 weeks equally. Thank you.
I don't know. I know bills may be committed to committees, and sometimes the 16 weeks elapses as the member for Talinding said, it gets stuck there. Sometimes the time is extended. All these things happen. But that is all left to plenary. That is all left to... So what you are saying, if I understand, we either don't add anything, or if we add one, we add the other one also. That looks like the trend.
Can I say something?
Please, yes. Honorable Member for Woolly.
Thank you, Honorable. The reason why we should not put the 16 weeks there, because that is not cast in stone. That's just there to guide the members. But anytime you fail to finish your work, you just come back to the assembly for us to give you extended time. So it's not cast in stone. Huh? That's why we should not put that there. But for reporting back, it's obvious. We must report back, so we should capture that. But for time, we don't have to capture that, because it's not cast in stone. It can be 16 weeks, it can be 20 weeks, it can be 30 weeks. So you don't need to put that there. But the speaker is busy with somebody there. I'm just perambulating here.
By practice, we have...
Honorable members.
You hear me? I am saying the 16 weeks is just a guide. But like you said, it could take 20 weeks, it could even take more. But anytime the committee fails to complete their work, the rule is they come here for us to extend their time. So I'm saying there is no need to put that time frame there. But in terms of coming back here, that is absolute. They must come here to report back to us. So we should capture that.
Honorable members, I was also being briefed about legal opinions. And honestly, as I said earlier, the paragraph as it is, I think is good enough. Equally, if you add and report back to plenary, it doesn't make it bad enough. But what is clear is that all committees must report back to plenary. Whether you put it there or you don't put it there, committees must report back to plenary. They cannot make decisions. Who is calling?
Joshua.
Member for Joshua.
Yes.
Yes?
On the same page. Number one, I know my senior member missed it. The Committee on Agriculture and Health, the L is missing. Honorable Swire, L is missing there, the L.
Yeah. Number one, the same place.
Yeah, the health, the L,
Agriculture and Health.
Yeah, health.
H-E-A-L-T-H.
Yeah.
Okay? L-T-H. Thank you. We now move to page 4. Is it Woolly? Woolly East?
Honorable, this will be the last time for us to correct this. If you go to ensuing debate, if the following members took part in the debate on the motion, that will be entrenched now. Took part in the debate on the motion. That's how it should read. Not debated the issue. The whole assembly is debating the issue.
I think this, people get used to certain languages, and it's difficult for them to change over. You take note, the following members took part in the debate. We don't want to correct this again. Page 5.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, please.
Talindi.
Honorable Member for
Member for Banjul North.
Huh?
Member for Banjul North.
What is, we are on page 5 and 6, you're going to page 4.
Yeah, page 4, please. Can we
What
please
happened?
go back?
I would love, let's say, honorable members, I think what we can do to minutes is to look at the minutes before sessions. Note down your observations, and then when we come, page by page, we come by. You cannot be reading it until you finish. You will be taking us back.
But I think this is very important. If you
It's
don't
important.
mind.
It should have been noted, I mean, earlier than now.
But it is not my fault.
Page 4.
Page 4, motion 4.
Yes, what is on
That
page
is,
4?
Be it resolved that this assembly, August assembly, do stand
Tell us
adjourned.
which paragraph.
I said number 4, motion. The motion.
Yes, go ahead.
Be it resolved that this August assembly do stand adjourned, signed, die by the Honorable Deputy Majority and not minority. No, this is another one.
Yes?
Yeah,
Wherever it occurs,
exactly.
it will be majority and not
And
minority.
not minority.
We have nothing on page 5. We now move to page 6. Talinding?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. The paragraph immediately under the list, the first paragraph. Honorable Badara Aliou Diouf, His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic. I would prefer His Excellency coming before the name and removing Honorable at all, so that it reads His Excellency Badara Aliou Diouf, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia.
I wholly agree with you. Members, I think we can correct that. Any order on page 6, honorable members? Yes, member for Woodley East.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. In the same paragraph, where it is said that they spoke on the issues raised, the following honorable ministers spoke on issues raised. So my observation here is that they responded to some issues, but they have not responded to all the issues. And when we want to remind them, the Honorable Speaker was in a haste. He does not want us to do that. So I would propose that they responded to some of the issues raised, not all the issues. Thank you.
Honorable member, that is not a fair comment. Honorable member, the honorable ministers responded on the issues raised, meaning those are the issues captured by them. 2, you cannot respond, even whatever you do, you cannot respond to all the issues. And it was not a time for debate. They are invited to come and respond to the issues raised, to clear your doubts. The honorable ministers are there for you. They are still there to clear as many doubts as possible, both within and outside the assembly. So, the issues raised does not mean all the issues or half of the issues. It's to the issues raised. No, that, for me, I don't know. That becomes Woolly East. Do we need to debate this one? Yes, go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, what the practice is, when the ministers responded to issues raised, if they missed an issue that is raised by you, you can always remind them. That's why the ministers themselves were saying, unless I miss somebody's question. So we can always remind them, but you were not tolerating that. So therefore, a lot of issues were left unresponded. That's what I'm trying to say. So in this case, we have to say some of the issues raised because of that practice, unless we change the practice.
Say some of your issues. We cannot talk on behalf of everybody. A lot of issues. You can only talk on behalf of yourself. 1. And two, as I said, it may be a practice. But the issue is not a debate forum. You are the people who were on the adjournment debate. The ministers were supposed to be here to capture your concerns and see how they can get them addressed. Now they are given the opportunity to participate with you. Some of the notes they have taken, they have responded. You are now saying they have not responded to all. But how can they respond to all, my brother? It is not possible. If you are satisfied, some other member will still not be satisfied. Member for Upper Salem.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. What I was going to say is, if you ask a question or raise an issue and the minister responds partially and say that I will come back with some information, that is still a response. Now, some of the issues or queries raised, in fact, it should be a question, a parliamentary question, that is actually sent to the ministry, and they will take more time to be able to respond in detail about what the member needs. But to be able to say they have responded actually, in actual fact. But maybe you are not satisfied. So if you are not satisfied with the response, then you put in a parliamentary question, and that will be able to give you more information about the particular query.
Honorable members, some of the questions raised here, they have not said it, but you know that some of the ministers may not be prepared. They don't have the statistics and the figures to be able to respond to those ones. They need to go and do research consultations with their technical people to get certain information to give back. So these are issues that are raised. If you are not satisfied, or you still have things pending, you still have a right to either put a question, or you just consult the minister. They are there to answer your questions, to allay your fears, and to satisfy your needs. Member Bintang.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Speaker. This is why the member for Woolly East clearly stated and to some of the issues that are raised. I want to second that part. What they answered are some, and some are not answered. So it will be proper when we say, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ministers, and answer to some of the issues that were raised. Thank you.
There will never be a time when all the issues will have been answered. This is what I'm saying. So this denotes this has been the practice in minutes. Why do you have to say some again and qualified with some and not some? Because your certain concern is not addressed. And there are never times when all concerns are addressed. Honorable, proceed, please. Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 29 September 2022 be approved with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Clerk, can we move forward?
Bill, the Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022 by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, as indicated earlier, I will now put the question without debate for the acceptance of the certificate of urgency. Honorable members, be resolved that this Assembly do accept the bill entitled the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Bill 2022 be proceeded with under a certificate of urgency. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it.
No. No.
Yes, let them just identify. Honorable member for Bakau. Yes, go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, I'm calling for a...
Member for Bakau, may I hear you?
Let's put it to vote. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Let's put it to vote. There's a division.
No. Honorable member, you can take your seat. Yes, honorable member.
Calling for a division.
Pardon?
There is a division already, so I'm calling for a division. So we put it to a vote.
He said you are calling for?
Ruling on it. He said yes.
All right, honorable members, may I put it again? Be it resolved that this assembly do accept the bill entitled the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Bill 2022 be proceeded with under a certificate of urgency. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no.
No.
No. Honorable members, now let's resort to voting. Those in favor, your tax, consequently tax up. And look, hey, we also want the names. Yeah, tell your people to go and write. Honorable members, you raise your tax. We are not only counting the number of votes, we also want to know those who are voting yes or whatever on record.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
No
am
debate.
I debating?
No debate. No debate.
Am I debating? Are you the Speaker? Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
We are seeing. Honorable Speaker.
That's Janyambure?
Yes.
Yes, Janyambure.
What we notice within the chambers is some of the members are raising two tags at the same time. And
he was authorized by the member.
Honorable member.
We need to be professional in our statements, you know.
Please be seated.
No, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable.
I'm not withdrawing. Are you the Speaker? Calm
Right.
down. No, just calm down. Let me clear myself.
Oh.
No, see.
Can we hear you?
I'm observing. He gave me the permission to observe.
You are not here to observe. Sit down.
Your mic.
You are giving me a chance to observe.
Remember, use your mic.
Yeah. Honorable Speaker, I am observing that some people are putting up two tags. And that's what they are putting it to you. That
Are you here to observe?
Honorable member for Woolly, just hold on. Honorable members, please give him chance to make his observations. Please. Honorable member for Woolly.
Honorable Speaker, what is happening is that when we are voting, you are supposed to raise only one tag, your own tag. You are not supposed to pick somebody else's tag and raise two tags, you alone. That means that you are voting twice.
How about if you are authorized by the person?
Honorable member, that is good enough. That is good. Members have only one vote, but the technical staff who are counting are instructed to count one person only for one vote.
May have mistake, Honorable Speaker. But you should not tell them to raise two tags.
Honorable Speaker, should we in fact mislead the Parliament?
Honorable member.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you should not have used that word.
Honorable Speaker.
Mislead the Parliament?
Honorable members. Honorable
Honorable
members.
Speaker, it has been withdrawn already.
I don't want to put up any other thing. Please, if you want to talk, put your tag up. I will give you a chance. I don't want members shouting. Okay. Please. Okay. Two, as I said, members know very well that you have only one vote and you can only vote once. If a member decides to put up two, that's not expected of an honorable member. But where it happens, the technical staff will only count one. No member is counting. It's the assembly, it's the table office, and the office of the clerk who are counting. Don't we trust them? So, Honorable, are you finished? For yes? Yes? Yes?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. You earlier stated that every member is entitled to a tag. Why is that a honorable member will raise 2 tags and you said he should raise 10? You should say that no, you should not do that. But you encourage it.
Honorable member, I wish you were listening. You were probably dreaming. Yes, because I made it very clear that honorable members are not expected to put up more than 1 tag. If you do it, that's not honorable enough. I said that very clearly. But I also said, put up 10, the clerk's office will only count 1. So we are now finished with those in favor. We are now moving to those not in favor. Can you put up your tags? Not in favor. Honorable members, put up your tag. We don't want to miss out anybody. Please, put up your tag, and they are recording your names.
Record Bakau.
Honorable members, the records from the office of the clerk. Before I read, honorable members, I want to send a word of caution. And that is, I have said it once or twice. We will not deny any member from saying what you want to say. Nobody. Whether it's bitter or sweet or whatever. You reserve the right to say what we want to say. The only difference is within the ambits of our own standing orders. That's all. No desire for anything. So when it comes to differences of opinions, we cannot all agree on one thing all the time. It's not possible. But the best is respect different opinions. But you still reserve the right. You still reserve the right to disagree with the person. Let's please. We sometimes waste unnecessary time. The results as presented by the office of the clerk and the table office, those in favor, yes, 36 votes. Those not in favor, no, 10 votes. So the ayes have it.
Honorable Speaker.
Why do you need to clarify that? It's okay. Let's move on. You don't need to clarify it. We move on.
Honorable members, now Standing Order 77.3, which reads, a bill to which a certificate of urgency attaches may be proceeded with throughout all its stages, and assembly shall not be counted out or adjourned, except upon a motion made by the Vice President or a minister in charge of the bill, until such bill has been read the third time. Thus, the said bill shall be proceeded with throughout all the stages in the Assembly. In other words, I am not in a position to accept any dilatory motion and or referrals as dictated by Standing Order 77.3, that once a business is accepted under a certificate of urgency, it shall not be counted out or adjourned until the business is completed. So I thank you all, honorable members. We may now proceed. Clerk.
The Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022.
Thank you. Honorable members, in accordance with Standing Order 65, the first reading of the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Bill 2022 is completed. Therefore, in accordance with Standing Orders 66 and 77, we will proceed to the second reading of the bill forthwith. Clerk, may we proceed?
Second reading, the Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022 by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, pursuant to Standing Orders 67 and 77, I invite the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to move a motion for the second reading of the bill entitled the Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022. Thereafter, it will be seconded and the Assembly will debate on the general merits and principles of the bill as per Standing Order 67-1. After the debate, honorable members, we will resolve into a committee of the whole Assembly to give detailed consideration to the bill. On that note, honorable members, I now invite the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to move the motion for the second reading. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Acting Majority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Members, colleague ministers, permanent secretaries, government officials here in present, media and general public, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols duly and respectively observed. I move that the motion, Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022, be laid before the August Assembly for deliberation.
Counter motion, please.
Honorable members, any seconder? Member for Upper Salum.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion. And also I intend to
Honorable Speaker.
speak on the motion as well. Honorable Speaker, we are presented with
Honorable Speaker.
certificate of urgency. We are presented with a certificate of urgency by the President, and in accordance with Section 98, subsection 1 of the 1997 Constitution, and also in line with our own standing orders.
Honorable Speaker.
The certificate of urgency actually is in line with the laws of the land. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, counter motion.
Yes, you can continue, please.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion, and I also intend to speak on the motion on the certificate of urgency for the Gppa Bill 2022. Honorable Speaker, before I do so, I would like to draw the attention of the Parliament and all the honorable members that the FPAC was in receipt of a bill that was Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2020. The first reading was done in November 2020. However, at the time also, FPAC was also dealing with various bills, like the pension bill, the anti-corruption bill, the supplementary appropriation, the National Health Insurance Bill, and the National Assembly Service Bill, to name few. And we did prioritize the bill, and then the Gppa bill of 2020 actually was put on the back burner. And as a result, FPAC was unable to present any report at the time. Now, if I stand here and then say that there is a certificate of urgency for 2020, I would really stand to support it, purely because if FPAC has done their work at the time of 2020 or 2021, we will not have been here today. So on behalf of my fellow members and on behalf of the previous legislator, I want to apologize for not being able to deliver on that was given to us at the time. And we couldn't from there. I accept. I accept. We accept. That's fine. We accept. And Honorable Speaker, and that's the reason why I stand here to support the certificate of urgency, because had we had done what we were supposed to do, then we are not going to be here today. Now, going into the bill itself, Honorable Speaker. Now, again, I know there are a lot of people talking about why the change in the bill, but the change is actually very minimal of what was given to us in 2020 and what we have today here. I think, if I remember, it's only about a few areas. One is about the emergency procurement, and this is also an area that the Parliament actually, FPAC in particular, recommended that to be added because of the experience we had with the procurement during the COVID. So that was a recommendation from FPAC, and also we did receive a recommendation from Gppa themselves, a write-up, also recommending for an emergency procurement to be added on this new bill. So that's one of the changes from the 2020 to 2022. And also, Honorable Speaker, it's also important to also note that the creation of the procurement directorate, that is procurement cadre, at the Ministry of Finance also was not in the 2020, but is actually present here. So those are the major differences. So in effect, what was given to FPAC and what is present today is almost like 95% the same. So the difference is really very minimal. Honorable Speaker, this bill, Honorable Speaker, I think it's going to go a long way in changing the way procurement is actually done in this country. Simply because what we had at this point in time is we have a judge and a jury at the same time at the level of the authority. They are the one that will do the approval, and they are also the one that will also check for compliance. And that is really, you are becoming a judge and a jury. And separating them, Honorable Speaker, is going to ensure that we have a lot of the lapses that actually could be seen in it is actually corrected. Honorable Speaker, at this point, you know, we've been talking about fighting corruption in this country. But let's remember one thing. 60 to 70% of our expenditure as a government, minus the salaries we pay, is all procurement related. So essentially, if we are talking about corruption in this country, that's exactly where we need to look at. And any law or any framework that would actually help us to solidify, to ensure that we have a very good foundation in terms of fighting corruption, I think this is to do that. We already have the anti-corruption bill with us in the Parliament. which also the Public Finance Act, which 3, the pay bill, the anti-corruption, and also the changes in the Public Finance Act. I think these are 3 fundamental pillars on which the public finance management of this country actually can be corrected with all the issues that we actually have. So to fight corruption, to be able to do that because of the lapses we have in the procurement process. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the issue of e-procurement, I think I've mentioned this in 2021 and in 2020. And I did say this to the Minister of Finance, that we need to change the way we do procurement. Already in the private sector, some of them actually have gone ahead. And the e-procurement actually is just a portal, website, where actually all people that are interested in procurement can actually, you publish really want to procure, and vendors can actually respond electronically without having to see physically. So what it does is, anytime there is physical interaction between people, whether it's cash or non-cash, there is a potential for corruption. Anywhere. But so the moment you reduce human interaction, that actually is another layer of controlling corruption in this country. And already, some companies in this country here, they have gone ahead and doing that. And we have seen, and we have known some institutions where, as far as procurement is concerned, you don't even see them until the time of delivery. Meaning the request for proposals, you know, and the review, everything, submission, everything is done electronically. So the only time you get in touch or see the person is at the time of delivery, or at the time of verification. That's the only time we see. Again, that actually helps a lot in the curbing corruption along along the line. Honorable Speaker, also there is one novel thing we have here, and that is the on page 25. That is the procurement principle, and that's section 20 of the bill. That is the procurement principle. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the principle, really, I think there is something that's really excellent, because it's actually telling you really, why are we doing this? What do we intend to achieve by doing this procurement? And again, the first one I see here is to maximize economy and efficiency in procurement to achieve value for money. And I think, Honorable Speaker, this principle is actually fundamental to ensure that we spend our money, we get the best value for the money that we spend. And also, Honorable Speaker, B is also saying to foster and promote competition by encouraging participation in procurement proceedings by economic operators regardless of nationality. Okay? And that, Honorable Speaker, leads me to another area in this new bill, which is really very good, that's section 33, that is called domestic preference. If you look at section 33, that is domestic preference, Honorable Speaker, and I will read. The procuring organization may grant a margin of preference for the benefit of tenders for goods, services, and works by domestic economic operators, or any other preference authorized in the regulations, or any other enactment, such as for marginalized groups, particularly the youth, women, and physically challenged. Honorable Speaker, this is really, I think, is another benefit of this procurement bill 2022. Honorable Speaker, we need to support our own. We need to support the marginalized groups, and especially the women and the youth of this nation. They are into business, and we have to do all what we can to ensure that we support them in procurement. You know, that's why when we see the restricted tendering in the bill, which is also good, which means if there's any opportunity where the ministry or any other procurement organization, you have the preference to do restricted tendering to ensure that we support the women, ensure that we support the youth or the people with disability. Let's do it. Let's try and restrict, and let's support them to ensure that they can move this country forward. Because together, all of us, we have a responsibility. And I think this domestic preference in supporting the vulnerable groups, I think is something also we need to really look at very critically. Honorable Speaker, the other area that actually I have seen, which I do support very well, also is on section 21, which is the application. 21 on the page 26. That's application. In fact, if you look at the current bill, which is the Gppa bill 2014 and amended in 2018, it was amended in 2018. This section, which is application, is actually expanded. This is where there is a lot of confusion about people, because we have, a lot of us have received messages thinking that this is giving carte blanche to some organizations. On the contrary. Now, on this application, Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Member, is it Woolley? Woolley East?
Honorable Speaker, my point of order is that we are dealing with the merits.
Section
authority.
Can you quote the relevant provision?
We are dealing with merits of the bill.
Honorable
not,
member.
Not the substance of the bill.
Honorable member.
So my
Honorable
friend
member.
is going into. I don't want to disturb your time.
Thank you very much,
Honorable
Speaker.
member for Woolly.
Yeah.
You always address the speaker. You don't be talking with people. Honorable member, can you continue, please?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the member needs some medication or something. Anyway, Honorable Speaker, on this application we are talking about here, if you look at the current bill, it actually has been expanded. And this is also one of the advantages of this 2020 bill. Now, if you look at the, particularly on A, this act shall not apply to contracts of procurement the minister responsible for national defense determines is related to national defense or national security. This in itself does not give carte blanche to that particular ministry. We need to read in detail and understand. It is only items relating to national defense is referring to. So if they're going to do procurement in vehicles, procurement in stationery, furniture is going to go through the same rules and regulations will guide it. So I know some of us actually have received information about this particular one, but the essence is only matters of national security only. The procurement of furniture, I don't think is a matter of national security. The procurement of computers, the procurement of motor vehicles, etc. is not. So let's read it in detail to understand. And if you look at further, Honorable Speaker, we know our state-owned enterprises do suffer when they are part of, or when they want to respond to bids. We know that. Because of the time it takes for them to be able to get clearance from Gppa. And let's be mindful of one thing. You know, the authority gives approval, but it's the same authority that will also come and then check for compliance. So in case there's any issue, who will be held responsible? So if a procurement organization actually goes to Gppa at this moment and seek clearance, and they give them clearance to perform certain procurement, and later down the line, the Auditor General or internal audit realizes that there was something, corrupt practice actually was discovered, who should be held responsible? The authorizer should be held responsible, the procuring organ should be held responsible. And that's the reason why separating them is the best thing to do, which means you have compliance, you train them, you certify them to ensure that they can handle procurement. And this is very important. So the notion that the Gppa work is being taken away from them to somebody else is not actually, is very inaccurate. The intent is for them to allow them to concentrate on their core competence, which is compliance aspect, to ensure that all procurement organizations actually have been well trained and they are certified to be able to carry procurement. But if you want to be a player and a referee, you will have a problem. If you want to be a player and the referee on the same field, you're going to have a problem because there will be foul play. So that's the reason why it's better for them to concentrate on the compliance and ensuring that all procurement agencies have the right caliber of people, have the capacity to be able to conduct. Besides, in the same bill, there is a contracts committee. What is their responsibility? Is to review procurement and actually approve. So once the contracts committee in any organization actually makes approval, why do you need to have another approval? So approval on top of another approval. For me, that actually makes that actually saves time. Meaning the longer it's going to take you make approval at your institution, then you go at that takes too long. Now the procurement organization will be held responsible for all procurement because they are the one that will do the procurement. The procurement committee is going to give approval. So anything that is wrong, they are held responsible, and that's the reason why they bring in the National Audit Office to be another layer to check. So we need to be really very, very clear in this thing. There is no work that has been taken away. It's just that they want to make them more efficient in their work to ensure that time we have time value for money. You know, here we are talking about efficiency, and if you are talking about efficiency, time factor becomes very important. And that's the reason why I think this decoupling actually is very important. And Honorable Speaker, I think we really need to go for it. Honorable Speaker, if you look on page 28, that is the conduct of officials. The conduct of procuring officials. This is very important. Now, I want to read particularly the last two. This is talking about the procurement organizations. Number 3, that's on page 29. Any infringement of the provisions of this act by procuring staff caused by misconduct or gross negligence shall be sanctioned by the procuring organization according to the relevant rules and regulations relating to the conduct and discipline of staff. The sanctions may include initiating civil and criminal proceedings for the recuperating damages caused by the staff where necessary. You see, this in itself is taking away that responsibility from Gppa because you are not approving. Because if you approve and anyone is found culpable, Gppa also will be found culpable at the same time because you approve. Honorable Speaker, the FPAC actually is in receipt of several correspondence from the Internal Audit Directorate where they stopped procurements because the value for money was not achieved. And this procurement actually has gone past Gppa. But the internal audit stopped those and asked them to go back and renegotiate because the value for money was not there. Now, if you're going to give approval, then have you actually checked value for money there? And the report actually, I think I've shared it in the group. I think if you check, it's almost 32 million that was reported. That was last year. This year, they are yet to make any reports. So essentially, what I'm trying to say here is, let's try to separate the functions in terms of somebody approving, and so you are the approving authority, you are the checker. I mean, it's not possible. Let's give this to somebody else. And also, I'm glad, Honorable Speaker, that we also have the Auditor General in place, where they can come and also and audit. And if you look at this section, let me see. I think it's, so I think, Honorable Speaker, that's really okay. Let me just move right along. And I'll just move to also a second, that's on page 11. That is the conduct of the economic operators also. Now, their conduct also is very important because they are the one that would actually put in bill, and that's going to be on section 25. I remember section 25. Yeah, that's on page 32. Their conduct actually is also new in this bill. If you look at the previous bill, it's almost silent. And they also have a responsibility in their responses with this. Now, if you look on the first one, it's actually saying economic operators in relation to the procuring organization are required to act in a professional, objective, and impartial manner in the mutual interest of the contracting parties. So they have also a responsibility. Not only the contracting agency, but also the operator, the respondent, the bidder, has a responsibility also. And I think this is also excellent in terms of doing that. Honorable Speaker, I would like to read the 11, that's on page 33.
Honorable Member,
yes.
Don't go beyond the merits and the principles, please.
Yeah, this is a merit because it was not there. Yeah. So, in fact, you know, when you talk about the merits, advantages, or the things that are new that could actually help, that's exactly what I'm reading. That's why I'm reading the sections in particular. And, Honorable Speaker, in terms of accountability also, and to also minimize the issue of corruption, subsection 11 on page 33 is also very clear that all bidding documents and contracts for works, goods, and services shall include a clause. This was not there before. In stipulating that bidders will be rejected or contracts terminated if it emerges that the award or execution of a contract has given rise to unusual commercial expense. I think this is also another way of trying to help minimize corruption. So the clause needs to be there, and if there's any way that a respondent actually has done that, then they have the right to terminate or to close. So this is one of the advantages of also this bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think that's my last intervention, and I want to thank you. The rest are suggestions, and I will wait until we get to the floor in terms of the composition of the boards, etc. So when we get to the floor, I'll be able to show more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Upper Salu. Honorable members, the motion has been moved and seconded. In accordance with Standing Order 67-1, I will now open the floor for debate on the general merits and principles of the bill. Any honorable member who may want to partake in the debate may now do so, beginning with honorable member for Jara Central. Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Member for Serekunda West. You were saying something? That's good enough. I'm sure they are aware. Honorable Member for Jara Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm already on my feet. Honorable Speaker, I would also equally join my honorable colleagues to thank the Honorable Minister of Finance for tabling this important bill entitled the Gambia Public Procurement Bill 2022. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the objects and reasons of this bill, you will come to understand that, Honorable Speaker, this country has started moving in the right direction. Long time ago, Honorable Speaker, the Gambian people have been crying of a foul play of the activities of corruption within institutions, most particularly, Honorable Speaker, in the area of procurement. Therefore, if we have gone in that direction of bringing a bill that will tackle part of the corruption that is happening in the procurement processes, that is more than welcome, Honorable Minister of Finance. Honorable Speaker, if you go to the objects and reasons, may I just, Honorable Speaker, with your permission, it is mentioned that this is a more modern procurement law which addresses the weaknesses of the Gambia Public Procurement Act 2014. There was a law that was enacted in 2014. But if you look at that procurement law, Honorable Speaker, it was just there, but not for its essence. That's the essence of fighting corruption, the essence of bringing back economic income to the coffers of government, but rather economic income to the pockets of individuals. So I hail the Minister of Finance, Honorable Speaker, to come up with this important bill. It further went on, Honorable Speaker, to say that the essence of this bill, Honorable Speaker, this bill seeks to address key issues that will bring in line with international best practices. And that's what we can call a responsible government. When you are making policies, you make policies that are of best practices. And it also controls, this bill after being enacted, Honorable Speaker, it will also control procurement directives. You sit in your office because you are a senior man in the cadre, just give directives, and then your work is done. Done in a manner that don't favor government policies or government interests. So this bill also comes to address that. There wouldn't be no more directives. If you are giving directives, make sure they are going to be directives that are going to yield dividends for our motherland, the Gambia. Honorable Speaker, to go further on the merits and objects, this bill also talks about the emergency procurement, which has never been there before in the old Act of 2014. There was no emergency procurement. We can see it during the COVID-19. There was need for the Ministry of Health to do procurement because it was of emergency. But the Ministry of Health wasn't able to do that. So therefore, with the enactment of this bill, Honorable Speaker, that would be the things of the past. As just the Honorable Member for Upper Salem have mentioned, the most fascinating thing about this bill, Honorable Speaker, there is a clause that deals with e-procurement. The e-procurement clause in this bill will definitely reduce the person-to-person contact during the process of procurement. Honorable Speaker, there is also value for money. Passing this bill means we are giving ourselves access to value for money. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I wouldn't do justice to this humble August Assembly and to the people of the Gambia if I don't support the passing of this bill. With all the merits that I have just mentioned, this bill is able to have all those merits. Therefore, the only thing I have to do, Honorable Speaker, is to give blessings to this bill. It also fights corruption, Honorable Speaker. There is a clause in this bill that talks about corruption. We all know that there is a bill on anti-corruption bill, on anti-corruption laws, of course. We have the bill. Last year, in the last parliament, it was tabled, and it have gone, the first stage it was done, so we have gone up to the second stage, then the parliament could not finish it. Then there was elections for a new election, for a new legislature, which is the 6th legislature, so this is why it could not be completed. But I'm also urging the Honorable Minister for Justice to bring this bill into effect so that he can bring it back to us and we do the next stages of the bill, like what the Honorable Minister of Finance have done today. Yes, I'm urging the Honorable Minister of Justice also to bring the anti-corruption bill, because if you look at that bill and this bill, they more or less talk together. Because this bill is talking about corruption, and that bill also is more of, all of it is about corruption. So therefore, Honorable Minister of Justice, I'm calling on you to please hasten in bringing back that bill that every Gambian is talking about. A bill that, of course, even all the parliamentarians here are talking about that bill. So even whereas it cannot come under urgency, but we need that bill in the parliament so that we can pass it. Honorable Speaker, the coupling of the oversight role and the approving role of the Gppa was also to fight corruption. This new bill is tackling that. So really, Honorable Speaker, this bill is a good bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Jara Central. I now call on the Honorable Member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And then equally thank the Honorable Minister and whosoever is behind this for coming up with this bill under a certificate of urgency. It's one thing to bring a bill before the National Assembly to pass it through the normal stages, but also bringing it under a certificate of urgency means something else. But before going further, I just want to emphasize the fact why the certificate of urgency, which is very important, and that's the reason why we are sort of divided here. Honorable Speaker, we have been briefed and we have been told that this bill is very, very important. And then we all know, if you were following the proceedings in the during the 5th legislature, or you are a member of the 5th legislature, you will know that this bill was being tabled here, debated, and referred to the Finance and Public Accounts Committee. So it's coming back here under a certificate of urgency, because the other process was told. We know that the 5th legislature term expired in April, and now we are in the 6th legislature. There was a ruling by a point of order raised by the Deputy Majority Leader, and the ruling was made by the Honorable Speaker. So if the executive choose to bring up the bill in this manner, definitely we should thank them. I think there is no member who should stand here and say, I'm questioning the urgency, because I can remember the last adjournment debate and the debate on the SONA. Almost every honorable member who stand here will talk about corruption, corruption, corruption. And we all know the bulk, the capital expenditure, almost 60 to 70% of capital expenditure after salaries, all goes to public procurement. So if we are definitely serious, and then we are concerned about these issues that we are raising here, this is a bill we know that will not even have too much debate here. We'll just pass it and then just make certain rectification, make it perfect, and adjust things where they are loose, and we move on. Honorable Speaker, moving forward by looking at the objects and reasons, as the Honorable Member for Upper Salem, likewise the Honorable Member for Jara Central raised, it's self-explanatory. The objects and reasons are very, very clear. Looking at each paragraph as highlighted by the Honorable Minister, thereby addressing the weakness of the 2014 Gppa Act, providing the avenue for e-procurement, and then also putting the local councils in the centralized system of procurement, and so on and so forth. So, honorable members, I beg on you, and then I beg on your indulgence, so please read through the objects and reasons, then you will understand, because it is self-explanatory, and there is no controversy in this. I agree there are some gaps here and there within the bill, but we have the opportunity at the committee stage to make any changes that we want to make. This is our bill as far as it is before us. Let us not see it as it's the executive bill or whatever. They brought it here, but now it is our document. When it is passed here, it will not be called the Honorable Minister's bill or whatever. It will be called the bill, an act passed by the National Assembly. So before it escapes us here, let us do whatever it takes to make sure we fine-tune it to the best of our abilities. Honorable Speaker, moving on and to a very important point that the bill seeks to address, that is the issue of emergency procurement. We are all aware during the COVID, 500 million was allocated to the Ministry of Health for the COVID emergency response. But by then we all know what happened. Our lives, there were threats to lives, threats to security, and threats to so on. And then it is highlighted in the COVID, in the FPAC reports during the COVID-19 time. We've all seen that some of the issues that they have raised there. So those are issues of concern that should concern every honorable member. So if you have a document here trying to address that concern by coming up with a provision, whereas it is empowering the minister or the person responsible of the bill to come up with emergency procurement rules to guide such processes, I think it is in a step in the right direction. Because we all know we are always experiencing problems here and there, national disasters, epidemic disease trends are changing day in, day out. So we should expect more of that, and then we should expect more of emergencies of that magnitude, of that nature. So having this in place, I think it is something that we should all upload. Honorable Speaker, also looking at the last paragraph in the objects and reasons, where the Honorable Minister is emphasizing on the independence of the Gambia Public Procurement Authority. This is a very, very important body that should be independent and it should be autonomous. Like the Honorable Member of Upper Salem said, we all know what is happening presently in some of our procurement issues. If in the National Assembly we are a victim, we have to speak the truth and we have to say the facts. We are all suffering because of some of these procurement rules and regulations and oversight institutions. We are procuring, and then we have been deleted, we have been football, we have been moved from left, right, center. All this is because of the bad laws we have in place. So here is the opportunity for us to make a stop to that and change everything and put this thing in the right way. Procurement bodies and procurement authorities should be independent, but you cannot be independent up to an extent you are above everybody or you are involved in every process. That is definitely wrong. Even the National Assembly, we have our limits, and then we have our powers. There are things that we enter into, and there are things that we shouldn't enter into. So this should be the guiding principle for every government authority too. I understand some people are questioning about the appointments of board authorities and here and there, but I will just refer everybody who is talking about that to go to section 175 of the Constitution, which reads, and I quote, it says, members, board of directors of public enterprises are appointed by the president in consultation with the Public Service Commission. So that's a constitutional provision, unless we change it. If we don't change it, that's what we have, and we have to go by that. The president has the authority to appoint anybody in consultation with the Public Service Commission. That is, I think, it's a no-go area, and then we will go by that, unless we go back and then make some amendments. So that is something which you know that is a non-starter for us. Honorable Speaker, just to conclude, I was just doing some research, and then I come across this, and then I think it is important for us to share. In 2015, the U.S. Department of State fiscal year 2015 transparency report listed Gambia among the list of countries that didn't fulfill the fiscal transparency report due to their their mismanagement in public procurement. So it is a concern. This happened just in 2015, and the reports are there. If you are interested, you can go online and Google, and you will find out this report. These are evidence. We have been listed among countries that doesn't fulfill our procurement regulations, our procurement rules, and this happened just in 2015. And we are talking about an act that was enacted by the National Assembly in 2014. 2015, we are seeing some of this mismanagement. And if you could recall the Janet Commission, there were numerous revelations, whereas contracts have been awarded wrongly. Contracts have been awarded to companies that are not competent. Contracts have been awarded to have been single source, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go into details into that, but it is very, very important we make reference to all these materials, because these are all public documents. They are in the public domain. And these are facts. The evidence are lying there outside. So definitely, Honorable Speaker, I again continue to beg on the indulgence of those members who deem that the bill should not come on a certificate of urgency to please reconsider and then look at the greater good of the country and look at the greater good of all of us joining hands in fighting corruption, and then we pass this. I know and I understand we are just from an ordinary station, but government businesses and government issues are not dictated by one single ministry or department agency. Things vary, things come, and then we are not working in an isolation. We are part of the global world, and then we have partners like the IMF, the World Bank, and so on. So, and these are bodies that we work in, day out, and we have treaties and agreements with these people. So sometimes we have to listen to them. Sometimes we have to go by some of the treaties or international agreements that we have with them, and then we make sure that we domesticate everything accordingly. And this is a document that is definitely seriously addressing the reform agenda that we are all calling for. So I, again, beg on your indulgence to consider this, and we move on. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nyanija. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Nyamina West. Nyamina West.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I want to join my colleagues on debating on the objects and reasons of this bill before us. I want to be brief because I believe that my colleagues, especially Opa Salum, has done justice to this bill. So therefore, it's just a repetition. So the first place, looking at the first, Speaker, please allow me, the first statement where you have this bill is a more modern procurement law. In this statement or this phrase, you have everything embedded. This is where you have all that we are discussing, addressing the weakness of the Procurement Act 2014, where it embedded the e-government procurement. Also, in this you can find best practices. In this, now you have catered for the emergency procurement, and also not only the emergency procurement, but also catered for the abuse of that emergency procurement. So I found it very much interesting and useful, and at the right time. Also, you see the local governments are captured, the central bank, all these things are catered for, and this will help us go in the right direction as far as procurement issues are concerned. Someone have mentioned here during the SONA, most of us have dilated on corruption issues. I particularly also gone far to discuss about these procurement issues in the Gambia. So I am among the most delighted NAMs that are receiving this here in front of my table, since it is addressing issues of concern with regards to corruption and many other procurement issues. And what I want to add there is that issues of efficiency, like we discussed, my Honorable Opanyomi discussed about time factor, which is very important, which is already stressed also by the Honorable Nyanija. You know, after procuring or entering into a procuring process, you do not know when it ends, and it's dragging left to right. It's not helpful. It's not helpful. We cannot be efficient as far as we are not time respectful. We have to be time bound. We have to be time respectful. That is very important. I think we have to also inculcate time, or that will come later in other regulations that follows this bill, but which is very also important. At this juncture, let me just join my colleagues to thank the government for bringing this under the ticket of urgency, because like my honorable colleague said, this was here since 2020, and now FPAC. I'm just saying, I will have to say a very big thank and a good job to FPAC, contrary to what Mo said, because there is a lot on the table. There is a lot on the table in this parliament, and there is a lot on the table for FPAC. So it's not that you haven't done well. FPAC has been doing well, and I think so. You are doing justice. You have also helped us on this bill. That's why the wisdom and the knowledge could have come last before us. So Honorable Alhaji Mo, thank you for that. And also I say a big thank to the minister for tabling this here on the ticket of urgency. I beg to take my leave. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nyamina West. I now invite the Honorable Member for Jeswang.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for coming with a bill. First, I will start to ask a question with regards to the bill. Whether, the bill was being discussed at the stakeholders level, whether all stakeholders were part of the discussion before the bill being brought here. Because the reason being, there are questions coming from every corner. And had it been that stakeholders were involved, I don't think that we come to this level. Honorable Mbo made it very clear to us that the bill has been here for a while, but due to reason beyond their control, it was not able to be tabled. And I think Mbo coming up with the idea that it was here and then he accepted the fault to say he's apologizing. It's also clearing the doubt of people talking outside, saying that it is just been brought just now, and we are here, it is thrown to us for us to approve. Thank you very much, Honorable Mbo, for clearing those doubts, and also saying that we have to work very hard when bills comes in, we pass it at the right time, so that issues of this nature will never happen again. Coming to section 12 on page 18, with regards to the function of the authority, which refers to the Gppa. They are the one monitoring and then monitoring and also regulating. And on number 3 also, the assessment also is being done there. But my problem here is who is the one approving? The approving authority is who? Because the reason why they are no more approving, as people have just mentioned, is because they were being called food players and referees. Hope the same thing will not happen again when we don't know the approving authority, who are the one approving, because it's very important that we need to know who is the one approving. Because they were approving for who? The very people concerned were the one who were doing the procurement. So if those people are also doing the same procurement and also approving for themselves, it is not going to be the same thing again. So I think that one needs to be looked at properly. Coming to the same section on the number 2 and also page 56 on section 40, G, is about monitoring. The authority is also doing the monitoring, and the director also, on Section G also, they are also monitoring. So hope there will not something like a conflict of interest on both sides. That needs to be looked at properly, because this about procurement, I mean, talking about corruption. Everybody talks about corruption, but corruption doesn't only stop at only talking or passing bills. We have a role to play in corruption. Even if this bill is being passed to control, after being passed and approved by the August body today, hope it will not only stop there without action being taken. If action are not being taken, it is meaningless. As some of my other colleagues have alluded that almost 70% of this country is based on procurement. Those are the laws that need to be looked at properly. So the stakeholders involved, being part of this bill, Honorable Speaker, I think they need to be looked at properly, and those to be employed need to be well-trained personnel who will be handling this procurement issue. Yes, the e-procurement issue is very important and is very good, but at the end of the day, it is going to happen the way you want it. There was a major tender board before, and it was being accused of corruption. That's why it's no more there. And there also a director also that's going to be set up under the Ministry of Finance. Hope it's not going to be the same again. So I think it's very important for these things to be looked at properly, so that we can all be in it together. Because when it comes to procurement, it affects everyone, being the one outside. And going to Section 50, with regards to engineering, procurement, and construction, I think that one needs to be looked at also properly, because on Section 1, subsection 1, this is not only a procurement method, but the nature of a contract under which the contractor takes the full responsibility of design and build. This is about you design, you build, and then possibly you price. But underneath is the commercial risk part of it. I think there should be another section that should make it very clear in case of any other hidden cost who will be responsible. Because the moment you prepare your bill and cost, there is a cost involved. The guy does the design, he does the pricing, and he quantifies. Whether he under measure or things were over measured, who is there to check? I think there must be a clause that will indicate who is there to control and how will that person be controlled. Reference to the issue in Banjul here, the Banjul project. It was just something of this nature, and it is still under review. I think it's very important for that clause to be added there so that we can avoid issues of that nature to happen again. Yes, the bill is around. Many are giving its blessing for it, and that's why we are all here. We want to give our blessing on it, but let's try to be there at the right time and do what is right. The Gppa was there. It's like most of their responsibilities are taken away from them. So the one doing the approving, the one, and the one also trying to assess must be very firm and very honest to Gambians. And if possible, Honorable Speaker, I want, if after this, let there be a stakeholder meeting where they also will be briefed on the issue, and during the regulatory part of it, when we are preparing the regulatory aspect of it, I think it's important for it to come to the Assembly so that we see whether what we have approved, most of it is in line with the regulatory law of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Joshua. And I invite the Honorable Member for Jokadu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Let me first of all welcome
the Honorable Minister for Finance for tabling this very important bill before us today. Honorable Speaker, we are part of the world. And as the world is moving, you should not sit back. You also need to move with the world. What I mean is international best practices need to be followed by every individual country in this world. We know that procurement was here for so long. They said the act was in 2014, but there were so many lapses that were happening. And then this bill before us here came to address some of them. Although it cannot be 100% perfect. Everything must start from somewhere and then you move on. That's what this bill is trying to do. Because it was laid here in 2020, and then unfortunately it was not passed. It is now brought back to the Parliament, and we have seen that there are new elements that are added within this time. So that is a clear manifestation that we are going to approve it, but in the long run, there will be so many things that will also emerge where we'll need to adjust. But that does not mean that we should not pass it. We have to pass it because it's a bill that is a step in the right direction. We talked about emergencies. This bill seeks to address that. Emergencies are things that are foreseen, unforeseen, that may occur overnight. You will never know when they occur. So if we have a bill that is really going to look into that aspect, I think it's a welcome move. Honorable Speaker, the bill is also talking about e-procurement, which is very important. We'll all know that interaction from human to human is sometimes very negative. That's the time where so many things can occur. But if at all we can have this in place, whereby people will be going through the process through the internet, online, I think it's very important. Whereby all these things is going to tackle the corruption issues that are really hampering this country. To be frank, definitely Gambia is a very small country. And then we have gained independence more than 50 years ago. But still now, people are crying. Why? Because they say things are not moving. And then we are the people who should move the things. So coming up with good laws that will guide us and help us to be able to move this country forward, I think is a step in the right direction. I really applaud the minister for bringing this back to the Parliament. So I'm urging my honorable colleagues, let us not definitely waste time in passing this bill. We are coming to the committee of the whole house, where we'll be raising issues. Anything that you feel that should be added, we can do so. Things that we know, we think that also should be deleted, we can do so. There is nothing that can stop us from that. When we come to the committee of the whole house, we are at the leverage to sanitize this very important document so that it can become fit for purpose. So on that laws, Honorable Speaker, I will not waste the time of the Assembly. I will reserve myself until we come to the committee of the whole house. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Jokadu. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Foni Kansela.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I thank the presence of the Minister of Finance. It's indeed a great thing. I believe it is the onus is on us as honorable members to carefully look into the bill in presence of us. We believe there are a lot that has been done to reach at this stage, and we also concurrently agree that progression needs energy, time to see that effects of such a bill is tabled today. We've also been doing a lot of consultation in regards to the urgency. Why the urgency? And the underground lining conditions that we've been briefed relates to some of governance issues, and also to see that the authority is empowered with new laws or provisions that will help the well-being of procurement. As we all know, procurement is a process and also the lifeblood for any governance, institutions, ministries, or directorate, and is the blood center for all survival so far institutions are concerned, apart from salaries. And there are a lot of issues that we think is one thing working on a bill, the other thing also subject to its implementation and the full force of it. We all know that procurement is one of the most lucrative areas in terms of gaining pocket full if the right measures are not put in place to make sure the key guidance and functions is also guided. Taken to the main objective, page 13, section 3, it says objective, one part of it, A, it says transparency, efficiency, and economic public procurement. B says accountability in public procurement. These are all key issues that are very vital to make sure we could also put that cap for all those key functionalities to work effectively. Honorable Speaker, if I may direct you to section 5, subsection 6, that talks about the bill provide members of the board other than the actual members shall be appointed by the President in consultation with the Public Service Commission. It's good. My worry there is subsection 8. It reads, provide the members may resign by a letter addressed to the President. This abnormally gives a long addressing to C, letters of resignation to be addressed to the President. And most of those people are not appointed by the President. So I need the Minister of Finance to help in that particular area, to clear my doubt in that particular end. Honorable Speaker, in section 14, that is the appointment of the Director General. It's also one path where it's clearly stated, and we all know it's in line as per the Constitution. But my other submission there is this. Dismissal, how to call it? It says the removal of the director with the opportunities implied to dismissal of the powers as when or addressed to. I want to be guided here. The dismissal path.
Honorable Member, can you direct us to specific clauses of the
I mean appointment of the director, section 14, page 23.
Yeah, subsection what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one are you making quoting?
Yeah. Okay, section 14, the appointment of the one. Yes, it has clearly spelled out the process and procedures of the President, how to call it, appointment of the Director General. But my doubt here is there is no provision that indicates dismissal of that Director General. So I want clarity here as per for the Finance Minister to help us in this. because we all know you're giving powers to employ, but who dismisses? And what, or whether could come anytime and you do all dismissal as you oath to. We want it to be very clear here in some of this. And the other part also, there is no provision within that particular range, section 14, talking about the academic qualification of the Director General. It is.
Can we hear the point of order, Honorable Member for Woolly East?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, clause 66(1)(a). That's the second reading. That's what we are doing. A general debate on the bill with an opportunity for members to vote on the general principles. So we are just dealing with principles in this debate. We are not dealing with the detail of the bill. So when you go on to sections and then start asking questions on that section and expressing opinions on that section, you are not dealing with principles. Thank you.
Honorable Member, you are right.
Thank you. Noted.
For Fonyi Kansala, take note.
Noted. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, these are some of my, checks and balances that I've did through the bill itself, and also regarding the subsection section 12 of it, then subsection 7. Subsection 7E. It talks about the qualitative activities of the report in submission. So I believe we could also look at it critically to see that all activity report will be laid to the minister in regard of this. So these are some of the key areas that I want us to concentrate. And again, also, the directorate, Minister of Finance has a directorate that is key in looking at those procurement. So I may look at this way, whether there will be no conflict between the authority and that of the minister directorate that is also responsible for procurement authority. So those are my key submission area. And I believe when we reach at the committee stage, we will look at it vividly. And I applaud on all members to take our time, go through this. A document is easy to ratify, pass a bill, but making sure we put it right for the benefit of all Gambians and all institutions at large. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Fonyi Kansala. And I honestly believe that is the ultimate objective of all honorable members here. Honorable Member for Combo East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I should thank the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs for coming up with this bill on the urgency. I'm just urging my fellow colleague honorable members to get into this document, to value the urgency of this document, that it is a document, it is a step towards eradicating corruption and ungoverned finances that we are crying off today. But I hope also we'll get other bills on the urgency very soon from the Ministry of Justice. There's the anti-corruption bill and other bills. I hope this one is a step in the right direction. It's only when we get down to the committee stages we can get into them. There are points that we need to work on. I thank the House. I thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Combo East. I now invite the Honorable Member for Banjul Central.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Actually, I will just reserve my statements because I was really in to speak with regards to the specifics of it. And I think it's been made known to us that we are only to talk on the principles of this document. So I'll just reserve my statement, but just to say that we are all in support of this document. And my worry was as pertaining to the urgency of it, but Honorable Mbow was part of the FPAC, and he made it very clear that due to some constraints within the committee, they couldn't bring it in time. So we really applaud the executive for bringing this as an urgency. That was the only reason why I voted in support of the urgency. So for the meantime, I will just rest my case and will say that this is really a progressive bill, and that it's a bill that really, I think, the majority of the House really will approve. But also, like I always say, there is no positive document. We really need to look deep into it, look at the specifics, hopefully bring in provisions that we think that will enhance its efficiency towards the betterment of the country. So I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Banjul Central. Honorable members, the second reading debate is about the merits and principles of the bill, not the entire details of it, which will be followed when we have the Committee of the Full House. The Honorable Member for Lower Salum.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for bringing this. May I register myself 100% or 1 billion% supporting in this document? Yes, thank you, Honorable Ministers, and thank you, Honorable Members, who also voted for the certificate of urgency, and thank you, Honorable Members also who doesn't, who voted for no. This is a democracy whereby we all bound to make our own opinions, whether it's right or wrong. But this is what we saw, a correct democracy. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for being my friend today. Also, I must thank genuine Gambians, too, who are in the favor of this bill. More especially the President of the Republic of the Gambia. I am began to see the President is listening to this Parliament, because if you check the period, the sooner and where this bill was laid, people were emphasizing corruption. The word of emergency, I will also quote the Honorable Member for Badibu Central. He said it's an emergency because corruption is an emergency issue in the country, which is affecting day in, day out the lives and the lives of the Gambian people. And also thank the ministry and his colleagues, and thank Gambia participation. They also make their submissions on this issue. And also thank my intern who is helping me on the issues on research. And also thank Honorable Mari Jowade, who is an activist. He also said good things about this bill, and he has observations too. This is what we need. This country belongs to everybody. It not only belongs to the President of the Republic. If issues comes like this, each citizen, you have a role to play. We all speaking on this issue of corruption, especially me. So if this bill comes to my table, I will support it 1 billion%. Honorable Speaker, the objects and the reasons that we are going to talk about, only one thing that I make research with my intern and other people is the e-government procurement. Honorable Speaker, there are countries who are doing it. I check on Africa because normally I don't go for these developing countries, Europe, America. I check countries who are doing it. My favorite country is Uganda, because I have been to Uganda, and how Ugandese also people wants to move their economies toward developing their people and their lives, which takes me to go to Uganda as a reference. Honorable Speaker, the essence of this bill is to enhance transparency, accountability in procurement process and transparency. We are all saying it. Honorable Speaker, we all sing this thing, which the ministers were listening to us. The day that we are singing, and the minister wasn't here, but the technocrats were here. And I know he was just saying that, allow me, I know what to do. He brought this bill. Honorable Speaker, we have to progress. We said 60% of our income goes to procurement. Now, there is a document that will bridge. You cannot eradicate corruption all along, no, but it minimizes corruption. And also, there is a bill also pending, that's anti-corruption bill. They are intermarried. It's husband and wife, this bill. That's the Gambia Procurement Bill. Honorable Speaker, the most country that I make a research, especially Uganda, when they implement this e-procurement in their government system, it saves billions of dollars in their government coffers. And you know what even makes me to go for this bill, to support it? It brings the entire government system, the local government, you understand, and the process and state-owned enterprises. We were saying government, there are huge of corruption in government, ministries, department, agencies. But go to local governments. Honorable Speaker, the member of Joshua give an example for Banjul contract, the way it was out. Honorable Speaker, that Banjul contract, we were here. How it goes, most of us knows it. No, the entire citizens cannot be satisfied on something. Whoever you say it has an objective and reservation towards that project. But I'm also saying there are many procurement that was done within this country, especially if you go to these local government councils. Honorable Speaker, they are collecting taxpayers' money. There's a big auction on the KMC procurement trucks, which I am entitled to know how that procurement goes. Because it's a taxpayer's money. Nobody is saying it. No, now, if this bill comes to eradicate those corruptions, and who am I saying no to that? I won't say it. I will support it. Because we cannot put people in a particular position just to enrich themselves at a period of time. No. 60% of Gambians are not in that office, or in fact 80%. Honorable Speaker. So if this bill comes to eradicate or to minimize corruptions, I would say, Honorable Minister, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the success part of this bill, if it's going to be implemented, the entire procurement will be feasible to those Gambian people how it goes, how the contract was awarded, things like that. But then, for instance, a typical example, you want to buy an air ticket. You're going for, how to call it, internet is more cheaper than going to the agencies. There was a scandal also made in 2017 where a minister, they bought an air ticket of, how to call it, hundreds of thousands. We had it. So if this bill comes to address those issues, Honorable Speaker, we are all representing our people, the poor farmers down there, the poor vendors down there. We need to support it 100%. Because it's part of reform of the policy of the government. That I voted for the president to make reform on our institutions, the economics, etc., etc. Honorable Speaker, it's a good step which we are expecting, and the Gambia participants also made their observations on the issues, which, if it comes to the committee of the whole house, where we are going to, I will also try to put it to the minister, if it's applicable, then we can go for an amendment. In fact, there are many bodies, conventions, which we are signatory. The African Union Conventions preventing from combating corruption. They are in this. They are in line with this document, this e-government procurement. The United Nations Convention against corruption. They are all talking about corruption. So now, if this bill comes to minimize those things within our country or within Africa, and we are signatory to those bodies, are we there to say no to this bill? If this unfortunately to happen pass to this parliament, the entire government people should come and protest to this assembly. Yes, because every day, in and out, there are many scandals in places which normal citizens are not aware even how to, where that money is spent. So if the minister comes with this important document, we have to say yes to Honorable Minister for Finance and his colleague. Honorable Speaker, it has an advantage in our economy, in fact. Honorable Speaker, the member for Upper Salem, he mentioned many things and the importance of the bill, which are also, when I make a research, my favorite country, that's Uganda, I found the advantage of this e-government procurement. It can also, what do we say? It can also control the corruptions. It can help the ministry on budgeting and year, the year out of budget, of government budget, and easy vendor management also. It can also reduce route management system within the country, and it saves money, value for money. So, Honorable Speaker, overall, I'm here to support the document. But then I have a question to ask the minister. This bill, I know it's going to be passed. Yes, because the entire government people are waiting for us to see that this document passed. If this e-government procurement bill now is into force, we are very good on writing policies, but implementations of the policies is always a problem. I'll just give you an example. During the COVID, we made a series of regulations here. But it just takes 1 month. Now, we have passed many bills here. Now comes to us as an act. Most of these documents, they are not enforced by the stakeholders. Hope this bill, if it is passed also, it's not going to be like that. You need to enforce the bill to see that, to make impact on the life of the Gambian people. We cannot only make documents, good policies. From there, then we just park it at the library with dust. We will never implement it. What's the essence? Many of us, we are saying, how to call it, why the urgency? If we knew that the urgency doesn't favor you, sit at home. Because if you register here, you will be paid. You will be paid. And these documents is there to protect the properties of the Gambian people. And it's an emergency issue. Because everybody is saying corruption. Now it comes to the parliament, still now, you are emphasizing why it is emergency. And we are all singing emergency every day here. Then you sit at home, don't sign on our registration. Because if you don't act on it, you are owing Gambian people. You cannot be, this corruption has to be, we have to eradicate it from this parliament, going to the other agencies and ministries. Example 2, this internal parliament, there is an agreement between the office of the clerk, I don't know where we are to buy our vehicle in fact. Safe Hour. Still now, nobody can furnish, and every month they are deducting my salary. How this procurement goes, I don't know it. And I'm paying money. Honorable Speaker. Every month they are deducting me on my salary. How the contract goes, I don't know it.
Honorable members, merits and principles of the bill.
Yes,
Honorable, when you have certain concerns, when we come to the committee of the whole house, you can deal with them. Please.
Honorable Speaker, it's an example. I have to take example from me going to other ministries and departments. Because already...
Honorable member, merits and principles of the bill. Please.
Honorable Speaker, in the bill, there is a portion where it captures this corruption issue, Honorable Speaker. And again, when I stood to take my stake on the issue, I have to go both sides to be justice to Gambian people. I said, I am deteriorated on my salary. I don't know how this contract was made. Nobody furnished me how the contract was made. Who won the contract? I don't know it.
Member, that's not what we are dealing with now. Please.
Yeah, because...
Please, go ahead and avoid that, please.
Honorable Speaker, then the purpose will be defeated.
It will be defeated. Because we have to go according to our own laws. Several times, members have raised to the point of order to remind us that the purpose is on this. Why don't we limit ourselves to that? The other things you want to talk about, there will be a time you have that opportunity. You deal with it.
Honorable Speaker, the application of the IT system also through the procurement transformation program that innovate the overall government goals of transparency comes back again. If ourselves we are not transparent, so what others? So on that note, Honorable Speaker, I will take my charge and my chair, but then you allow members also to reiterate on their points, whereby it will help you and help me and people who are watching me out, Honorable Speaker. Because I cannot give an example to an institution or a ministry and leave Parliament as a whole. I can't do that. I am saying this, and I will say it. And nobody can stop me of saying it, Honorable Speaker. With due respect.
Honorable member, please sit down. Honorable member, this is my last chance with you. It has to be reciprocated. Where you want to be respected, you also have to respect people. Please. This is not made by me or any other person. We agreed on our own regulations here. If you think they are not good enough, let's change them. But as much as possible, we should all go according to the regulations. No exception. And I don't want a repetition again, please. Okay. I now move to the honorable member for Janjanbureh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for tabling this bill. But again, I think it is also important to bring our arguments forward. What might not be against tabling the bill here today, but we think the process that is being taken it seems to be a bit conflicting. And the reason why I said the process is a bit conflicting, we think we have a FPAC select committee within the National Assembly, and before we will have a bill table before us, it will be important to refer such a bill to that particular select committee for review and scrutiny, and as well as for us to be well informed on a particular document. However, Honorable Speaker, also looking at the certificate of urgency being attached to this bill is also a bit conflicting. And the reason being, we think as much as most of the members here has alluded that the purpose of this bill is to help in eradicating corruption, we would have actually preferred to bring the anti-corruption bill forward before the GPPA bill. Because if our commitments are to address corruption in this country, what is actually exempting us from having the anti-corruption bill before us in order to pursue, in order to work towards fighting against the rampant corruption that is ongoing daily in this country. Honorable Speaker, I have also heard from one of the members of the Select Committee on FPAC, and he also apologized to the Parliament. Standing Committee on FPAC, he also apologized for them not doing the needful work as to expedite the process of this bill. And yes, we might actually accept his apology, but also this has clearly demonstrated to us that we are only supporting this bill because there is a pressure on the government and the executive. For those reasons, this is why we got this bill before us, not actually having other bills that are of importance, like the anti-corruption bill, the draft constitution that is actually carrying dust somewhere at a corner. I think these are some of the documents that we need before us. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker, I also want us to look at few sections of the bill. For example, Section 5, subsection 2. It actually talked about the appointment of the chairperson and as well as the qualifications behind it. But I think it's not really been specific. So looking at Section 5, subsection 2, it reads, with your permission, Honorable Speaker. The composition and functions of the Board of Directors. Section 2 says the board shall comprise a chairperson, the permanent secretary of the ministry, the solicitor general, accountant general, and the list goes on. We think that might really need some observation, more especially having a permanent secretary being represented in such a board. One might recommend that if we can have the anti-corruption commissioner to represent in this board than having a permanent secretary to be in this board. Also, if you look at Section 21, I think Section 21, looking at it right now, it is also vulnerable to misuse of funds.
Speaker, point of order.
Of order, please.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Quick one, member.
Clause 67, point of order, second reading. On a motion being moved that the bill be read second time, the general merits and principle of the bill may be debated. Let the honorable member knows that we are only debating on the principle and merit of the bill, not the substantial element of the bill. That can be dealt at the committee stage. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, I think this about many times that we ourselves go to remind ourselves of what is obtained in our own regulations. Why don't we wait for appropriate times to deal with those issues? If we feel our regulations are not conducive enough, let's revisit it and make it the way best for us that we are going to be able to be more effective. But until then, let's manage to go by the dictates of our own regulations. Honorable member, take note and continue.
Well noted, Honorable Speaker, and I think I would still take my stance for the reason that I think I'm making some of my points on principles, and I wouldn't really go against the rules of the Parliament. So as such, I would definitely like to progress. But again, I think it goes back to the same thing. This is why I said from the inception that it will be more of important to have the bill to go through the FPAC Select Committee, wherein the due process can take place, and also get that particular committee to inform us as what is actually right. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I will definitely take my seat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Janjambure. And I thank you further for committing yourself not to break our own regulations. That's magnanimity. I must thank you for that. Honorable members, a reminder, honorable members, if you refer to section 98, subsection 1A of the 1997 Constitution, it says the Speaker shall summon a sitting of the National Assembly, 1, when requested to do so by the President. That's the condition we are in, and that is factored. That is informed by the fact that the executive also have things that they prioritize and that they can escape other regulatory frameworks and come in with those priorities through this area. That's the reason. Just want to make reference to that and to the relevant section of the Constitution. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Central Badibu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to give my contribution to the object and reason of this bill. Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that this bill is coming today. After 2 years, according to our own committee members that we have mandated, trusted them to work with such bills for 2 years, they couldn't, until the executive is using their power to bring it under certificate of urgency. I have to support it. I have to support it because of its content. We have been talking about institutional reforms. We have been talking about fighting corruption. You know, there are a lot of ways to kill a cat. If you use the other way Parliament committee failed, the executive, there is another way that the executive can use. Who are we to say no to that? Because if you refer it back to the same FPAC committee, are we guaranteed that they will do the same process? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. So if anybody have the confidence in them that we refer it to back to them, I, Suleiman South Central Baribu, I don't have the trust. It might go the same delay. It might go the same delay. And justice delay is justice denied. In order to fight corruption, we have to make sure that these things are in place. Our other request will be, as other members said, we need the anti-corruption bill. Because these are reforms that need to be done. So what is important now, as committee members, or as members of the Parliament, when we reach to the committee stage, we have our observations, we have our recommendations, which we need to vote and make amendments, propose amendments. Honorable Speaker, by looking at the object and the reason of the bill, the Gambia procurement, the bill is a modern procurement law. Modern procurement law. We have Gppa in place. With all the corruptions happening in this country, where are they? So we feel that there is a lapse somewhere. And I don't think the bill is there to undermine Gppa. And if there is any part of the bill which is there to undermine them, we will look at it at the committee stage and make corrections. But as of now, Gambia is not an island. I know whether say honorable member of Lower Salom is a new honorary consular to Uganda. I don't know, but it is always counting Uganda. But it's not about Uganda. It's about Africa agenda. It's about Africa agenda 2063. It's not about Uganda. It's not about Ghana. It's not about Gambia. It's about Africa. We want to ensure that our systems are in place. Dealing with physical costs, there is a lot of vulnerability attached to it. So we need to move to a digital world. And this is what we are always talking about, that we are in a digital age. So why should we be always try to come last on issues? I believe I'm not supporting the bill because of any international pressure. I'm supporting the bill because of my country, Gambia, because there is a need to revisit the system. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, coming to the bill itself, say the bill seeks to create guidelines in the procurement of big infrastructure projects and to eliminate abuse of emergency. And I believe the road constructions taking place, the infrastructure taking place in this country, it needs to be guided. We are all complaining about what went with Banjul project because there was no correct system in place, or the system that was used was not a correct system. Now, the bill is here that's going to promote transparency and accountability at the end of the day. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, coming to the second to last paragraph of the object and the reason, regulations, this bill also seeks to consider the procurement of second-hand goods cancellation of existing exemptions, and the power of the minister to come up with different regulations. Honorable Speaker, we need to look forward to this, because to have a bill is one thing, but it's the regulations that's going to determine the implementation of the bill. So I believe we are going to have a robust regulation in place to make sure that we wipe out, if we cannot wipe out in totality, what we mitigate corruption in our system. Honorable Speaker, coming to the bill, the same paragraph, is going to create the rules of procurement for central government, local government, parastatals or state-owned enterprises, private bodies, and other entities managing public funds. So there is no exception as far as this bill is concerned. And we all know that we have leakages all over. You go to our councils all over the country. There is nowhere you will go, you will not see corruption in the system, particularly in procurement. So we are here to fix the system. So what is important now? I don't blame members to say we have to go through a process. They are entitled to their opinion, and this is what they believe in. I respect their opinion, but we have been wasting a lot of time. Let's look at it. Suggestions made by individuals, groups, we look at their suggestion and make sure that it's incorporated in, and we forge ahead. Honorable Speaker, when we say never again mantra, it doesn't only mean the killing. Never again mantra needs to go with financial disciplines too. That occur in this country, from Algali community. So I think this is in the right direction. I believe, honorable members, when we reach at the committee stage, we'll look into some of these things and, come up with a better law for our country. I thank everybody for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Central Badibu. Honorable Member, I think you were in the minds of the drafters of these standing orders when you said what you just said. I think you are more than right in what you said. In fact, why I said that is, if you go to section 77.3 of the standing orders, the Assembly itself has denied itself the right to commit this bill to any of the committees because of your concerns, whether the same thing could not happen again. Two, because it is under a certificate of urgency. 77.3 reads, a bill to which a certificate of urgency attaches may be proceeded with throughout all the stages, and the Assembly shall not be counted out or adjourned, except upon a motion made by the Vice President or a minister in charge of the bill, until such bill has been read the third time. Because of your concerns, that's why this clause, I'm sure members who drafted this thing put it there, so that we no longer can use a delaying tactic or whatever to prevent it from being heard. If it is hard, you can reject it if it is no good. I think that spirit is excellent. And we are great, and we can all associate ourselves with that regulation, that we are regulating ourselves for the good of this country. That's what it indicates. Otherwise, we could have still used those powers and then still delay it. But in the interest of the country, I think the drafters and those who were involved had the Gambia first, and they did well. Honorable Member.
You are not part of the debate.
Honorable Member, you must differentiate between debate and points. This is your second time. You differentiate between debate. As chairing this occasion as Speaker, you must differentiate between debates. Whom am I debating with? I am in control of your regulations to interpret it and to express it to you. That I should do. That is not debate. Please. You want me to just be saying yes, quite? I'm a member of parliament, you must remember. But I am only caring, I'm not debating. And as much as possible, I will try to guide this assembly to the best for the good of the country, not on any sides. Please. Honorable Member for Serekunda West.
I'm your senior, huh?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, extraordinary sessions are in line with the Constitution. But the government of this country and the President, H.E. Adama Barrow, should also be aware that every sitting of this House cost taxpayers $1.4 million. Within a space of 1 week, this House is pocketing $2.9 million. So we have to be very careful the way we spend our limited resources. This extraordinary session could have been avoided. Honorable Speaker, the bill, I have no issues with it. It's a very good bill, progressive. My only problem is calling it under this kind of a circumstance and spending taxpayers' money. But if you go to section 24, as many members have alluded to, it talks about taking care of frauds, corruptions, and so on. But this bill could only complement corruption. The only bill that should take care of corruption is the anti-corruption bill. And this is where the government should step in. The anti-corruption bill, this is just a complement to it. This is only talking about a section. My friends.
Honorable members, please allow the honorable member to continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, but I'm an experienced person and they cannot detract me from what I'm going to say. Not possible. I'm a veteran. Honorable Speaker, like I said, section 24 is talking of fraud, corruption, and so on. That makes it beautiful. But it's only complementing the anti-corruption bill. 98, at page 103, is talking about emergency procurement. And we are all living witness what had happened here during COVID. So it's beautiful. The bill had no, it's not controversial at all. Then you go to section 41, 2, 3, these are all beautiful. And to crown it all, you come to the object. The object saying, if you allow me to read, Honorable Speaker, where it says, this bill is more modern. It's a modern procurement law, and it is going to address issues of procurement, and it will take care of the weakness of the 2014 Procurement Act. It's beautiful. Honorable Speaker, and it will also take us to standard level. So, on the whole, I have no issues with it, and I will support it. But I only have to support it and raising my concerns that we are wasting taxpayers' money. $2.9 million is within 1 week. Within 1 week. Honorable Speaker.
Can we hear the point of order? With honorable member.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, point of order 67, second reading. On a motion being moved that a bill be read second time, the general merit and principle of the bill may be debated. Let the honorable member confine himself with the merits and the principle of the bill. Please, I beg.
Honorable member, can you continue?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Those who don't know the standing orders will always fail when they raise a point of order. Honorable Speaker, we were told at an old party caucus that two key reasons why the state of emergency, this extraordinary session. And one of them is this government was told by the World Bank that one of the key reforms are still lacking, and that is this bill. So it's urgent for it to come. And like my honorable friend said, we will only blame ourselves for not doing what was right by the FPEC committee. So as a result,
member, point of observation is not a compulsion. When you mention it, the member will hear it. If he sits down, you come up. If he doesn't sit down, then you just let him continue.
Thank you very much. What I just want to be clear, how is this document a request by the donors? Because one thing I know, donors are not obligated. When we are implementing projects by donors, the procurement process is not obligated to national procurement process. So I don't know how our donors hint their problems onto this procurement document. That's what I want to be clear, please.
Honorable member, you can continue.
Thank you very much. That question is not for me anyway. Honorable Speaker, like I was saying...
Honorable member, you are the one being observed. You were the one being observed.
Of course, that's why I sat down.
Yeah, but you are now saying it's not for...
It's not for, that question is not for me. maybe that's for the minister. Anyway, just to conclude, I was saying, one of the reasons given out to members is that World Bank has cautioned the Gambia to say that one of our key reforms is still lacking, that is this procurement, and that they have no option, they have to come up with it, and that's one of the reasons why we are here. But overall, I support the bill, and I will continue with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Serekunda West. I now invite the Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, urgency should not override quality. Are we in for quality, or are we in for cosmetic work? The executive has done their work, and they have brought it to us. That is their side. But it is left to us now to do our part. Our part is to scrutinize the work of the executive to make the document even better. Even better. So if we rush it, we all know when things are rushed. We've said it here. A driver that is rushing is prone to accident. So we should not be rushing. The job has been brought to us. The best way we feel we can do this job to make it better, even better, far better than the executive brought to us, is what we should be pursuing. We should not be thinking that we should just do things for the sake of doing them and say we have done things. The Honorable Member for Salum said that the thing was referred to them, and they were trying to make it better, and that's why it took that long. Nonetheless, you are not making any effort to make it better. Okay, what did you say? I thought the thing was with you for a long time because you want to make it better. But if you just keep it there for the sake of keeping it, then you are doing injustice to this assembly. And I did not expect you to do that. So, Honorable Speaker, one major thing we are going to miss by rushing this is that we will not have the audience of the experts that will actually help us to scrutinize this document better. We will not have the opportunity to speak to the civil society organizations that are key stakeholders of this document. That is one of the reasons we are going to miss. And that is why I am always insisting that we need to scrutinize it. This is not a child's play. You can copy examples from other parts of the world, but are they applicable to your own country? And we cannot do that unless we actually engage other stakeholders. Honorable Speaker, the reason why I was thinking that there is no need for rushing is because there are already anti-corruption laws. How many people are okay with the 2014 Act? Procurement Act. There is already a Procurement Act. It does not mean that there was none. There was. But that did not stop corruption. So the 2014 Act, how many people have the book, the law, that act? And that is what we are amending. If you are amending something, and then they give you what is amending that, what you are amending, you don't have access to that. Then it will be very difficult for you to know whether you are making improvement or in fact you are going back. We can only assume that what we are doing here is better than what was there. But if you don't have the access and possibility of reading that, it will be very difficult for you to know whether you are making progress. Honorable Speaker, this bill is one of the most important bills. Somebody said, he said 70% of what we approve here, the money we approve here, goes through procurement. I know if it is 24 billion that you approve here, that means that at least 19 billion will go through one form of procurement or the other. And if that is where the big corruption is, and then you just rose it without scrutinizing it, the possibility of you contributing to that corruption is also there. And we don't want to be a party to corruption. Honorable Speaker, what we are looking for is to reform the existing procurement law or the rules. And you know that in many countries, a bill like this will take you for several months before you can actually finalize it, give it a passage. It will take months because we want something better to ensure that there is value for money. And you know, even after the accent, I know the Honorable Minister will ask us also to give them permission to make regulation. So it does not mean that when you pass it today, tomorrow, your so-called procurement thing will work. No, there has to be regulations to that effect. We have to make further regulations, secondary regulations, to ensure that this bill is implemented. And the information I have from Grapevine, is that the Gppa is not a party to this, and it's a big stakeholder. And you know that after we pass this, in fact, Honorable Speaker, what we need to do is to create programs to ensure that those who are implementing this are actually fully trained to ensure that they know exactly what they are doing. It requires a lot of work to do that. I also believe that, Honorable Speaker, there should be a written guideline as to how this bill will be implemented. We need a written guideline, not just in this form. It's like a manual of some sort that will help us to implement this, so that anybody who looks at it straight away, you will know exactly how you should go about implementing this. We know we have very nasty experiences with procurement in this country. You know, people do things, and it's like formality, and it should not just be formality. It should go through the right way. Honorable Speaker, it will be interesting to know the coverage of this act, if it becomes an act. Is it the local government too should be part of it? The parastatals, the different ministries and departments are all part of it. Anybody that is touching on public funds should be part of this, or should be covered by this procurement. Even the utility sector, the GUC, how do you call it, the NAWEC, since they are dealing with water and all this, and public funds are going there, they need to be part of this, should be covered. Honorable Speaker, we said we are looking for value for money. Value for money. I know there are many merits there, but the main thing for this procurement is to have value for money. All other things can follow, but value for money is an important part of it. And I know that, you know, the former one, I'm not very sure, but I know health, you know, should be given preference in the procurement sector because it is a crucial area. Just in case some disease outbreak comes, they will want to do their procurement quickly. So health or healthcare, you know, should have exemptions to ensure that this thing applies. And defense and security. It does not mean that everything that comes on the defense should be single source or should not be taken care of by this. I believe that they may need, we may need to simplify and make it flexible, so that you know, certain things that the defense would require, you know, they can do their procurement without wasting their time. And the exemptions, I believe, some of the exemptions in the defense, I still believe we need to maintain those ones, you know, because they are protecting national security, so they need to be maintained. So when we come to that, we'll ensure that happens. Now, the big question was the single source. At one point, it was said that when an amount is 10 million or above, it should not be single source. Another moment, it was removed. So, where are we? So that we ensure that contracts going to single source should be put in such a way that there should not be any ambiguity, so that you can use it anyhow you want and do what you want to do. We have to be careful about that. And the other merit of this bill is the maximizing of public benefit. And transparency. Transparency. Acting with integrity. It's a cornerstone. So when we come to the consideration stage, we ensure that everything should be transparent. Everything should be transparent. Good management. We have experiences. Everybody, I'm sure everybody has. The honorable member for Lower Salon wants to narrate his experience, but we all have our experiences. So, good management, prevention of misconduct should be emphasized. Control in order to prevent fraud and corruption. And I believe even prevention of fraud and corruption should be part of the objects and reasons. We should add that there. Fraud and misconduct. Conflict of interest. Some people will codge it in such a way, you know, so that, you know, it will not be seen to be recusing oneself. The person should recuse himself or herself. So they have a difference. So, Honorable Speaker, the question is, do we actually have flexibility so that contracting authorities can design a competition to best suit the particular needs of their contract or their market? Do we have that flexibility captured in this? I would want the minister, because I've gone through, but I've not seen that type of thing there, because that's very important. And that must ensure and you know, you can have that flexibility, but it does not mean that the safeguarding, the same safeguarding principles or requirements should be maintained. But then that flexibility will be there for the contracting authority. Now also, Honorable Speaker, employment providers, I think that should go under the employment providers. If they have that flexibility, that can cater for them. And my other question is the circumstances where we would not need competition. Because I know many people are opposed to doing things without competition, but there are some specific cases where you may not require competition. So if we can have an example of that, that will clear our doubts. Honorable Speaker, my last thing is that my opinion is that the bill that was given to us in 2020 is not exactly the same bill that is before us, even though a honorable member of the FPAC said so, because I looked through the two bills. You did not say anything then. Okay, then I apologize if you did not say. He said there are some, no, I know, that's what he said, but he said there are no significant differences.
Honorable member, you direct your questions to me, not to the honorable members on the floor.
No, I'm not directing it to him.
Yes, you seem to be directing the question to him and waiting for his answer.
No, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, that's what I said, Honorable Speaker. So the question is, my question is direct to the Honorable Speaker, that the 2020 bill is slightly different from the 2022 bill, as I went through. And under normal circumstances, when you make changes, you should go and gazette that bill before you bring it here. But since the executive is in a hurry to make it go, they don't want to go through all that process. So they come with a certificate of agency. My opinion, Honorable Speaker. So they come with a certificate of urgency so that we don't have to go back through doing all that. And we have made a ruling here, made by the Speaker himself, that all those such bills should be brought back in the normal way because they are done in the 50. Now this one is the 60. So therefore, that is the opinion that I hold on that. But not that that is bad. But I'm saying we are missing the opportunity to do the work that we are supposed to do. If the member of EPAC knows that they have done a lot of work on this, from the time he got this, he could have quickly given us some of their recommendations so that we are in the know. I did not get anything from it. You know, Honorable, don't direct your questions to me. Honorable, so that I did not receive anything from FPAC regarding their recommendations. So that will not help us in any way as we do this work. So that should not be part of the debate. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I thank you and thank the Minister for Finance for bringing this most important bill before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Woolly East. Honorable members, if people want to distract you, usually what you do, ignore them. But when somebody wants to do, and then you respond, you pose a question to him, he will respond, and then we are back. Honorable, I now call upon the Honorable Member for Basse.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I have to say good morning to or afternoon to the Minister of Finance and other ministers who are present, and also to the Gppa Director and his senior staffs and GCCI members who are present here. You are welcome. Honorable Speaker, looking at the importance or the merits of this bill, it cannot be overemphasized. But first of all, I have to thank the Gppa director and his staff for doing a good job when it comes to scrutinizing some of procurement contracts and giving approvals. Honorable Speaker, looking at the objectives and reasons of this bill, first, it is trying to at least align it with the modern standard of procurement. Because looking at the world is revolving and they want to align it with the modern standard, at least so that at least we can be there and be competing and we can be recognized. The other one is the open contracting initiatives and also to allow other groups to be considered, that is the marginalized group, that is the youths, the women, and the PWT, that is the people with disability. Also, it's trying to discourage the single sourcing. This bill is also creating rules for procurement for the central government, local government, parastatals own enterprise, private bodies, and other entities managing public funds. Honorable Speaker, the most important thing is this bill is also looking at the e-procurement, which is trying to reduce the interference of human nature in it. Honorable Speaker, I also have to thank the FPAC committee, though they could not submit the report to this body, but they went through the 2020 bill, which there were some recommendations which they forwarded, and it was considered in this 2022, and we need to applaud them for that. And it is better late than never. So this bill is here for us to move ahead. Honorable Speaker, going to page 13, section 3. Looking at the objectives, if you can permit me, A, B, C, D, and E. Especially, it improves the social and economic capacity in the Gambia, including facilitating the participation of local, micro, small, and medium enterprise and individuals to participate in a competitive and economic manner as contractors and subcontractors in public procurement. Honorable Speaker, it also, looking at the board also will play a pivotal role when it comes to managing or administering this public procurement institute. There is a recommendation by the FPAC which was put forward when it comes to the membership of the board, but I don't know reasons best known to them. It was not included, but rather in the other way around. But I know we will bring it at the third reading, because here we are just talking about the merits of the bill. We will come to that. Honorable Speaker, looking at page 14, section 5, page 25, section 20, that is the procurement principles. That is the general provisions of the procurement. Mr. Speaker, the procurement principles that shall govern all public procurement processes in the Gambia are as follows: A, B, C, D, and E, especially the number 2, which is also very key. Any procurement procedure or regulation that is in conflict with these principles shall be declared null and void. I think this statement is very important because at times it will reach a stage, a lot of compromise might happen, and at times it can be to a detriment of the citizenry. Honorable Speaker, as the Honorable Member for Upper Salum, Honorable Ajimbo, alluded, the domestic preference, looking at number 1, which reads as, page 41, section 33. That is number 1. The procurement organization may grant a margin of preference for the benefits of tenders for goods, services, and works by domestic economic operators or any other preference authority authorized in one regulation or of any other enactment, such as for marginalized groups, particularly the youth, women, and physical disability. I iterated. I think this bill is trying to discourage the gender balance, which should be considered, and also try to allow all participants to be on board, to give them the room also to participate when it comes to this procurement. Mr. Speaker, I really thank, or I will also join the members of this assembly to really, or accepting this bill as a certificate of urgency, and we looked at it and endorsed it as it is timely, and time is not on our side as long as we are looking at the Gambia first, not as individuals, and we are also talking about the corruptions. Maybe this might minimize it, and I see no reason why it should be delayed. Honorable Speaker, maybe some of the members who were also talking about the own agency, because yesterday some of them were not here when the Honorable Minister was here, when you have this joint caucus where he was explaining most of the reasons why this bill was urgent and we should treat it as an urgency. Honorable Speaker, I thank you for giving me the floor. Thank you so much.
Honorable members, we still have more honorable members to take the floor. We're going up to 2 o'clock. It's about 1:55. I want us to suspend, go for prayers and lunch, and come back within an hour. I was moving, I thought we were going to finish those members who want to take the floor. But it is gradually increasing and increasing. So I think we can go for 1 hour. That is, it's almost going 2 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, let's try to be here and begin work. So the House now stands suspended until 1500 hours.